Hey everyone, doing a video reaction to the Muslim Lantern. This is the first time I've ever done one of his. Now, the context of this conversation is ex-Muslim Afif Khaja has gone onto his show and he's asked him about jihad. The Muslim Lantern essentially boils his argument down to a tautology. When he finally lets Afif get to the argument, the Muslim Lantern's response is that you're only allowed offensive jihad during wartime. So you're only allowed to go to war during wartime. And he thinks he's somehow won this argument with that. So let's take a look at this absolute mess.
How are you, Afif? You good?
Hi, I'm doing very well, Muhammad. Thank you for taking me on. I'm an ex-Muslim atheist and YouTuber as well. And I had some questions regarding jihad. And my goal is to challenge the commonly held belief that Islam is a peaceful religion and that jihad is only allowed in self-defense. So there's a narration I wanted to bring up. This is from Sahih Muslim, Hadith number 22.
Okay. No. Okay, let's move on. I feel like you came with a script and you just going in,
No, he's not given a script. He's just getting to the point. Now, I've seen on other videos that the Muslim Lantern does, he deliberately tries to interrupt with absolute nonsense, with things that have no relevance to the conversation. And he does it even worse than people like Hamza from Hamza's Den. So this guy is absolutely terrible. And he chooses in this case to try and essentially put doubt in people's mind that Afif is actually an ex-Muslim.
The conversation, right? How are you? You good?
Yes, doing very well.
Usually, I do not allow many people who just on multiple different channels to come on mine because I believe they're just wasting time. If they were sincere, they already heard the message from someone. But I try to allow even one chance for that individual. I speak to them at least one time. You said in the beginning of this talk, the monologue, that you wanted to...
I mean, look at the little captions he puts up there. Ex-Muslim's obsession. So he's insulted him, but he hasn't actually managed to spell the word right. So if you are going to essentially poison the well, at least spell it properly.
To start with, you said, I'm an ex-Muslim.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What other religion, other people on earth, do they ever start speaking, saying, I'm an ex-Christian, I'm an ex-Hindu, I'm an ex-atheist, I'm an ex-agnostic? Do you ever hear this?
Well, actually, you do. I mean, you do occasionally hear it from people from other religions, but you know the people that most often talk that way about themselves? Ex-Scientologists. And the reason why is because they've got many of the same principles that Islam has in terms of harassing people who leave, threatening people who leave, trying to make people's lives a misery if you leave. Certainly within the Salafi stream that you guys believe in, where you want to murder apostates, you've got very much the same mentality. So it's clear that people identify as ex-Muslim in some of the same reasons that ex-Scientologists do, because they're highlighting the fact that they take a lot of crap for being someone who's left that religion.
I very rarely hear that.
Okay. So why are the only people who quote unquote leave Islam come and introduce themselves with something from their past that they quote unquote left? You left Islam, you're now an ex-Muslim. Why are you talking about something you've already left?
I think it just helps people understand my background, like the fact that I used to be a Muslim before. They understand like where I'm coming from and the fact that I have like an understanding of the basics of Islam. That's how
Yeah, and there's another reason as well, is the fact that people like the Muslim Lantern and all the other Dawah apologists try to put out this narrative that there's no true ex-Muslims. And this massive diversion that he's about to go into is to try and put that doubt in his own viewer's mind, because you've got to remember, 99% of this Dawah nonsense is not about getting converts, because hardly anybody converts. It's about persuading Muslims to stay in the religion. And so therefore, they always try and undermine ex-Muslims. And so it's damn important that people who have left Islam do identify themselves as that way, to remind Muslims that, no, there are real Muslims who leave the religion, and for damn good reasons.
Introduce myself when I'm talking about Islam.
Let me ask you this question. Just because someone left Islam, does that mean he knows the basics of Islam?
I think that's true.
So you think everyone who left Islam knows the basics of Islam?
That's my assumption, yes.
That's a false assumption. There are many examples.
Well, you say it's a false assumption. I think it's reasonable. I mean, it depends what you mean on the basics, but I think it's reasonable to suggest that, yes, if you were part of that religion, unless it was just completely kind of a secularized version where it's just some kind of vague background, cultural background kind of thing, then yeah, you are going to know some of the basics of the religion.
online of people who claim that they have left Islam who do not know the basics of Islam. There is tons of
Yeah, and there's tons of Muslims who don't know the basics as well. So are you going to, by that same logic, you've got to say, well, they're not really Muslims?
videos online, tens of videos online of those individuals, tens of screenshots from social media in which they do claim that they left Islam while they do not know the basics of Islam.
Again, what do you mean by the basics? Well, we're going to see, because he's going to try now test Afif on this. And he's going to get annoyed because Afif keeps showing that he does know the basics. So he keeps trying to up the ante more and more to try and put doubt in people's mind. This section is really pathetic, but I think it's important to go through.
And you do claim you know the basics of Islam, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you tell me what are those basics? What are the main foundational things?
Just the 5 pillars of Islam: the Shahada, the declaration of faith, the 5 daily prayers, giving zakah, fasting.
Okay.
Right, see, so he has to interrupt him there. He clearly realizes that he does know the 5 pillars. So it's like, oh shit, that didn't work. Right, let me go into some specific detail about one of those.
What is the percentage of zakat that is supposed to be given?
I believe it's 2.5% of your savings.
What savings are those?
Right, so if he gets the percentage right, so now he's going to ask about the particular savings.
Like the savings that you've had, like in your bank account for the amount of 1 year.
Right, so if he gets that right as well.
1 calendar year in the Muslim calendar.
So if I saved £100 in my bank account for a period of 1 year, I give 2.5%.
I think there's like an nisab, like there's an amount that above which you have to give it.
Do you know the nisab?
Right, so now he's talking about, you know, if you happen to be above a certain amount, whether that's going to change the fraction. So he keeps piling it on because obviously Afif has demonstrated clearly he's an ex-Muslim. So he has to keep trying to find some bit which Afif might slip up on in order to show his audience, see, he wasn't really a Muslim. I mean, this is so pathetic.
No, I don't really.
I thought you know the basics. How are you going to give the zakat if you don't know? You know, it's a necessity to know the nisab because the zakat is an obligation on every Muslim that he has to give. So he needs to know what the nisab is in order for him to give the zakat. Okay?
Yep. But I left Islam before I even started earning any money. So that wasn't really pertinent to me. Right?
Okay, so you never had it.
Yeah, and also, I imagine you could ask probably 50% of the Muslims you'd ask these questions to probably wouldn't be able to answer.
You have enough money in your life to give zakat?
No, not when I left Islam. The Shahada, Salah, Zakah, Som, fasting during the month of Ramadan.
I've also noticed there seems to be some weird little cuts here. It looks like that the Muslim Lantern has edited this. So I don't know. I'll have to double check with Afif, but it seems like there's little cuts here.
Okay.
And Hajj.
Do you know about Hajj?
Yeah. Also,
right. So we got the 5 pillars completely right. Got all the details about zakat right. So now he's going to go on to the Hajj.
I'm a Hafiz too, but I do know about the Hajj.
You are a Hafiz too.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, yeah?
Right, so this is the worst part of it. And bearing in mind, we're several minutes in now, and he still hasn't got to the question of jihad, which is what Afif called into. So this is all distraction. It's all dodging the actual question to try to undermine Afif from the start. Afif mentions that he's, sorry, the pronunciation is off here, Hafiz, essentially that he's memorized the Quran. Okay, so now he's going to push him on this issue as if this actually matters. He's obviously failed on the fact that he hasn't been able to show Afif is not a genuine ex-Muslim. So now he's going to go and try to catch him out some other
read سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلته. Read.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm just used to saying that. This is from Juz 2. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وكذلك.
You're reading. Your eyes is obviously exposing the amount of lies you're making.
I'm not reading.
Well, look, Afif.
I don't think Afif was actually reading. I think it's just the way he's looking down at the camera, but he's just trying to grab onto anything to show that Afif is somehow lying about the fact that he memorized the Quran.
Why do you lie, Afif? Afif, why do you lie?
I'm not
know,
reading.
you should be more of an honest individual. And
This guy is one of the most dishonest people, and I'm talking about at the already pitiful levels that Dawah apologists work from, but we'll get into that.
Right.
Should not click. Okay, look at the door behind you. Look at the door behind you.
See, now look, Afif, I understand that you wanted to stay on the line here, but I really would have pushed against this because this is almost to a level of like, I don't want to use the word humiliation, but it does seem like he is trying to humiliate you with doing this, like he's putting you through an exam or something. And I wouldn't have tolerated this personally. Now, I understand you've got to walk that line because, yes, he might just kick you off or refuse to talk about it. But I would have just at least tried to push through, just say, no, we've done this. I'm talking about jihad. Let's get on to it. But yeah, we'll carry on.
Yes.
Okay, and read for me now. وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Read.
وإن منكم إلا واردها كان على ربك حتما مقضيا.
Continue.
I don't remember.
You see, continue. So Afif is obviously showing that he has got these various chunks of the Quran memorized. So it's clear at some point when Afif was Muslim, he had a very good memory for the Quran. And the Muslim land just keeps pushing him and pushing him, trying to get him on some little bit of the Quran, which he doesn't know.
I haven't read the Quran in like 3-4 years.
You're Hafid. What happened? What surah is this?
Right, so he just explained there, just in case you didn't catch it. Aviv says he hasn't read the Quran in like 4 years. So obviously, even if you had memorized it as a younger person, if you haven't read for 4 years, and also you are no longer a member of the religion, so you're not reciting things, it doesn't have the same meaning to you anymore, you've actively rejected it, then why the fuck would you still remember everything? Over time, obviously, you're going to start forgetting more and more of it. And yet he doesn't accept that as an obvious explanation, even though Afif just said it there.
No, look there, please, Afif,
Yes,
look
yes,
there.
yes.
Okay, what surah is this?
I have no idea.
So how are you Hafid if you do not know what surah it is and you cannot finish the verses?
Dude, I haven't read the Quran in like 4 years.
Okay.
See, as he said again, I haven't read the Quran in 4 years. Of course he's not going to remember everything. This is so stupid.
Okay, read from سوف نصليهم نارا.
سوف نصليهم نارا.
Afif, go ahead. Yeah, tell me.
سوف نصليهم نارا.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't remember.
You cannot remember. What surah is this?
I have no idea.
Okay, so الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض. Read.
الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وأنزل من السماء ماء.
No. This is the beginning of Surah Al-An'am. This is the first verse in the middle of the exam, Afif.
So again, it looked like another dodgy cut there. This is just so childish. As I say, he wastes the first 5 minutes of this, and it probably went on for 10 minutes in the original conversation by looking at as I say, it looks to me like he's got cuts in the video here.
Please, why do you look this way?
Okay. I wanted to get back to the topic, but I wanted to say something.
Yeah, no. But I want to show you do claim you memorized, okay?
Yes, I did.
So فلعلك باخع نفسك.
فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا.
Which surah is this?
This is Surah Al-Kahf.
Surah Al-Kahf, yeah. At least you know this one. So now the easy questions you can know, like Surah Al-Kahf, which Muslims read on the day of Friday. But to claim that you're a Hafid and you cannot answer easy questions that I was asking you, like the beginning of Surah
He did answer pretty much everything you're asking. Yes, you obviously got to different bits and pieces in the Quran, which he didn't remember overall, but he obviously had a good memory for large chunks of it. And he answered all the basics in the first place to prove he's an ex-Muslim. So this is just a complete waste of time.
Can I answer basic questions that I was asking, like the end of Surah
He did answer basic questions. You're just bullshitting.
Maryam. وإن منكم إلا واردها كان على ربك حتما مقضيا ثم ننجي الذين اتقوا. You do not know how to finish. Do not come and claim to us that you memorize the Quran.
No, I did memorize the Quran in the past, but obviously I haven't read it in the 4 years. So
you're not Hafid now.
Not right now.
You are a forgetter. You are a Nasi. You're the opposite of that.
Sure.
So whenever you identify yourself, you say I'm a Nasi, not Hafid.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
But
so when you come to the people, because when you come to the people and say I'm a Hafid, that means you memorize cannotly. That's what Hafid means. It does not mean in the past. It's not like okay, someone asks me what is your job, and I say I'm a dentist, and I used to be a dentist when I'm no longer a dentist. Cannot say that because I'm no longer a dentist. Okay.
Fair enough.
No, I mean it's really not fair enough. I mean this is just such a dishonest tactic, and it just shows the low character that the Muslim lantern has. But I think we finally get around now to the actual fucking topic, which is jihad.
My intention was not to say that I remember everything of the Quran right now, but my intention was to say that I'd memorized the Quran while I was a Muslim. I know that if you ask me Surah Maryam, Surah Taha, if you ask me Surah Furqan, if you ask me Surah An-Naml, I will not know it. But
so you don't memorize. Okay, good.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to ask about is jihad, and what I wanted to narrate is this hadith from Sahih Muslim number 22. It says, "It has been narrated on the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar that the Messenger of Allah said, I have been commanded to fight against people till they testify that there is no God but Allah, that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah, and they establish prayer and pay zakat, and if they do it, their blood and property are guaranteed protection on my behalf, except when justified by law, and their affairs rest with Allah." So Prophet Muhammad said that people's blood and property will only be safe from him if they say there's no God but Allah, do the prayer, and give the zakah. So does that mean that the blood and property of peaceful non-Muslims who did not bother Prophet Muhammad were not safe from him because they did not testify the shahada, pray, or give the zakah? If so, then why?
The answer is you do not take the Islamic tradition with one hadith and then make up a kind of a belief and then leave the fact that there is tens of thousands of other hadith and live.
Well, he's not doing that, but what do you expect him to do? Quote 10,000 hadiths in a row so he's got everything supposedly in context? No.
The fact that there is a Quran, a full Quran, which gives you commands of what to do. So you cannot take a hadith, which you mentioned right now, out of context and then try to generalize that this is the only thing that Muslims can do, the only thing that Muslims
He
do.
never said it's the only thing he's doing.
Allah clearly mentions in the Quran that the people who do not believe, they have something which is called the jizya, which is mentioned in the Quran, chapter 9.
Yeah, but the point is that the jizya doesn't cover everyone. There are going to be some people who you invade who will not get that kind of protection. They won't have that as an option. It's only going to cover people like Jews, Christians, a few other kinds of people, those people that are considered of the book. Everyone else can still be taken out in a way that that hadith is talking about, and so therefore a thief's point still stands. A jizya does not help you.
Mr. Memorizer, chapter 9, which verse?
Verse 20.
No, 29. Can you read from the beginning?
See, again, still trying to have stupid little digs about every verse. I mean, I'd love to get the Muslim Lantern on my channel and ask him, let's do a little memory test. Let me just quote random bits out of the Quran and see how much he actually knows, because I reckon it'd be fuck all.
Beginning, you know the verse?
Yeah. قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله ولا باليوم الآخر ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ولا يدينون دين الحق
لا ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ورسوله
ولا يدينون دين.
Again, now just doing stupid little, corrections on the pronunciation and whatnot. I mean, this is so childish.
من الذين أوتوا الكتاب حتى يعطوا الجزية عن يد وهم صاغرون.
So you know very well that there is something called jizya, and you're reading the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, acting as if there is no alternative option, which is clearly stipulated in the Quran. And Surah At-Tawbah is from the last chapters that was revealed. So this is not something that happened. This is clear cut in the Quran. Now the hadith that you quoted now to answer what you're saying, it says, "Umirtu an uqatil an-nas." You understand Arabic, yeah?
A little bit, not very much. I'm Indian by background. Go ahead.
Okay. So uqatil is from af'al al-musharaka. Can you tell me what af'al al-musharaka are?
No, sir. I don't know what that is.
Okay. Af'al al-musharaka in the Arabic language, at least you're honest, which is, I like this. Af'al al-musharaka.
Yeah, maybe you should try being honest.
Are the verbs in the Arabic language in which you need two people to participate in order for that verb to happen. So here, uqatil here needs more than one person. Cannot be one person doing it. Aqtula is to kill. Uqatila is to fight. And in order for you to fight, you need another person to fight with.
Yeah, in order to kill, you need another person to kill. What is this as an apologetic? This is absolute nonsense.
Uqatil an-nas here in the Arabic language. It's from af'al al-musharaka. So it requires another person. And the only person you can do qital against is a male combatant. Because
yeah, well, I would question that, because there is examples within hadiths and stuff like that where non-male people, non-Muslims are killed. Women have been killed. There's various literature, but I'm not going to bother going into that because it's a bit of a sidetrack.
Anyone else, a child, a woman, elderly man, a priest, etc.
I mean, a child. I mean, the Banu Qurayshi tribe was the order to kill all of the children. What was it? Who'd started growing pubic hair? All the male children were to be killed along with the men. So if you've got a couple of pubic hairs, that makes you not a child anymore. So this is just absolute crap.
First time explicitly prohibited fighting against those. So we understand now.
No, it doesn't. This is just nonsense.
Everything in context now. So when the Prophet ﷺ said uqatil, umirtu an uqatil, here it is referring to other male combatants. So the Prophet ﷺ was...
Yes, but even if this is the case, what has that got to do with a thief's point? A thief's point is that Islam is portrayed as a peaceful religion that doesn't do offensive jihad. Okay, so whether you want to try and qualify and say, well, okay, we're only allowed to kill these kinds of people of offensive jihad, that's not the point. The point is he's saying that you can wage this offensive, aggressive war against peaceful people that have done nothing to you. That's the point he's saying. And you're dodging the question by going on to, oh, well, you can't kill children and stuff like this. Absolutely irrelevant.
Commanded to fight other male combatants. Here it says an-nas. What does that?
Yes, I mean, you're saying that you're essentially agreeing with what he says. You're commanded to fight. So therefore, what does it matter if I mean, and of course, it's always going to be the male combatants. Why would that be? Because they're the fucking soldiers. Of course. Why would you kill the women when you can take them as slaves, and including children as well? I mean, you're making a thief's argument for him.
Nas mean?
People in general.
People, so includes even Muslims.
Yeah.
So according to your understanding, you go even after fight the Muslims because you're taking that hadith out of context.
See, now he's playing stupid word games as if like, oh, now you can wage offensive war against other Muslims. Yeah, well, so what? Again, this does not stop a thief's point, which is that you can wage war against peaceful non-Muslims as part of the Islamic religion. You have said nothing to contradict that so far.
And the hadith does not stipulate anything there about the religion of someone. He says, La ilaha illallah. Maybe there's a Muslim who doesn't say outwardly, La ilaha illallah. He doesn't pray and gives the zakah. So according to your understanding as well, we start fighting that person as well with the rest of the people.
No, this is just stuff you're putting in his mouth, and it's also completely irrelevant.
As I said, we take the hadith in line with everything else. Okay? So here,
which we've done, and it allows offensive war.
Here, when you take the hadith in line and everything else, the Prophet ﷺ was commanded to deliver the message. The message must be delivered to everyone. So if there is a nation that prohibits us from delivering the message, giving the message to other people, then we will do qital, we will do fighting, we'll fight against the...
Right, so you've just admitted that he's right. So basically, and this is what happened with Muhammad and Muslims that followed, you basically threaten a nation, say, we want to come spread our religion in your land. If you don't do it, we're going to invade. So you're agreeing with what he said, that is basically what Islam allows to happen.
Government
commands to happen even.
That nation, in order for Islam to spread in that nation, or in order for the message to be delivered to the people of that nation. When you enter that nation, you're not going to force people to accept Islam, but you will fight the government, you will overtake the government to allow...
What do you mean fight the government? Do you think what you just go up to some kind of, we're just going to approach the rulers and just fight them? No, if you're going to enter their country, which is the terminology used there, you're talking about an aggressive invasion into their country, and you're not just going to be going around killing whatever ruling class they've got. You're going to be fighting whatever army they have and taking over the land. So this is just, I mean, this is, I don't know, it's like gaslighting or something. Like you're saying, yeah, an invasion isn't a war, isn't an aggressive act. It's so stupid.
The message to reach. Prophet ﷺ had a methodology. First, he sends a letter, like he sent a letter to the Persian king, the king.
Yeah, number one, he threatens them. He says, I want to spread Islam in your land, and you better open the gates or there'll be hell to pay.
King of Bahrain. He sent a letter to those kings, and he said to them to accept him as the messenger of God. They refused. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he said to them, okay, let me preach the message. They say no. He says, okay, let's...
Yeah, so step two, let me propagandize to your population, which is certainly something Muhammad would never let do, or any Muslims that have followed him. As you see today, you're not allowed to preach any other religions, or even just the idea of leaving Islam. So again, he would have that rule for himself, but if nobody else let him into their lands for Islam to be spread, then again, here comes the war.
Do a treaty in which the Muslim traders will enter, and then you can spread the message that way.
Yeah, so more propaganda. Yeah, so we allow ourselves to get into your country to propagandize to you.
They say no, and they persecute people. Then Muslims believe.
No, there's nothing about, see, the way you try to slip that in there, if you say no and they persecute people, no, there's no, that's got nothing to do with it, whether someone's being persecuted. The thing is, if they say no, then you go to war against them. And that's the point. Whether they've done anything to you or not, you go to war with them unless they allow Islam to become the religion of your country. So either you open the door voluntarily or we'll kick the door in and kill you.
That we do fight that other government in order for the message of Islam.
Again, he keeps using this government as if like, oh yeah, we're only going to kill the ruling classes. No, if anything, you'll leave the ruling classes alive while you kill the ordinary people. And then you'll threaten the rulers and say, look, you better convert now because we've already taken over the country. So he keeps slipping in this, we'll fight the government. There's nothing in the literature about that. And you can't fight the government. You have to fight the army of the nation. And that's exactly what they did.
To spread to everyone. And when you look at the life of Prophet ﷺ, you see the application of that. There were people.
Yes, we saw him going around kicking in the doors of other people and basically saying, I'm the new boss now, or you die.
They're non-Muslims living with the Prophet ﷺ under the Islamic Empire.
Yes, that's after they've already been conquered. So this is completely fucking irrelevant. I mean, seriously, who the hell is this guy? I mean, he's a joke.
Right or wrong, they will not kill. Then clearly you're not understanding the hadith, because
yeah, it will not kill once you've already conquered them, once you've already killed a bunch of people, once you've already enslaved a bunch of people. Then the survivors have got the option, if they're Christians, if they're Jews, and maybe Zoroastrians and a couple of other exceptions, they're the people of the book, then they've got this other option. Oh yeah, you might not have to die. You can just pay the mafia tax. But again, this is irrelevant. This is after you've already invaded and conquered their territory, which is the very thing he's bringing up in this conversation. The fact that Muslims go around claiming that there's no offensive jihad against peaceful people who've done nothing to Muslims, and you're essentially agreeing with him, but you're tying up the conversation with a load of irrelevant nonsense to make it seem as if Afifa somehow lost on the point anyway.
If the hadith means what you think it means, the Prophet would have gone and done things to them. No, he established that there's a...
Gone and done things to who? To the people he'd already conquered? That makes no sense. He's already done the thing to them by conquering them.
something called the jizya, and they paid the jizya, which is mentioned in the Quran in the verse that you recited.
Oh, fucking jizya again. This has got nothing to do with it.
And you got the number wrong and the recitation wrong, but you did recite well. So this is our understanding of the hadith. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, your understanding of the hadith is that a thief is absolutely correct, that Muslims are allowed to go wage war against people who've done nothing to Muslims, and this goes back to the time of Muhammad. They're allowed to wage war if they don't accept that Islam gets to be preached through the land and take over that way. So you agreed with him that offensive warfare is not only allowed, it's commanded.
My question is, so this is the verse I wanted to come back to, Surah Tawbah verse 20.
Again, this another little caption there, evidenceless claims, while he's about to quote the actual piece of Islamic literature, and apparently it's evidenceless claims.
29, the one that says, I just want to read the translation really quickly. Fight those who do not believe in Allah and the last day, nor comply with what Allah and His Messenger have forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth from among those who are given the scripture until they pay the tax, willingly submitting, fully humble. So my question is, these verses that were given towards the end of the life of Prophet Muhammad, this is Surah Tawbah, as you mentioned, is one of the last surahs in the Quran. So what did Prophet Muhammad and his companions gain out of invading other territories, killing their men, taking their women and property? Isn't Islam supposed to be...
Okay, now you're making claims. Give evidence now. Which...
What do you mean just give evidence? You just went through the step-by-step process that Muhammad used. Send them a letter, demand that you can send traders and stuff like that to go preach the message. Yes, you just went through the process, which Muhammad used to go through. Number one, you send a letter saying you must accept me as a messenger of God and basically convert to Islam. Number two, if you don't do that, you must at least let us preach into your land, let our traders come in so that we can try and take over that way. And if you don't allow that, he'll go to war with you. So you've already agreed that this is allowed.
Territories, they went and they killed their men and took their women and property. Go ahead.
There were several...
Look, you lied in the beginning about being a Hafiz. Now...
No, he didn't lie. He explained that, and you're just trying to put doubt into people's mind, and you're just trying to attack his character, because essentially you agree with him that Islam is allowed to just fight aggressive wars against people who've done nothing to Islam. You agree with that point, so you're just trying to distract.
You're making another lie. You make yourself look bad, which is not good.
No, you make yourself look bad by being this dishonest.
Did Muslims go and take the properties of other people and take their women?
Everywhere they've invaded for the last 1400 years, literally everywhere they've gone, whether it's been India, whether it's been Egypt, whether it's been Spain and Portugal, whether it was up through southeastern Europe and through the Balkans, whether it is into East Africa, everywhere they've gone, they've done this.
You claim
yes.
So they went, you said they went to their land, and in the land they took the properties and the women.
Yes,
that's your claim.
Yes.
Give me evidence now.
I'll give you the evidence, but
all of history is the evidence. I mean, this is just, I mean, again, this is why I think he is the world's biggest troll, because he's acting as if like there's been 1400 years worth of 1400 years of jihad, and there was nowhere once they invaded the country they didn't take any property or enslave anyone. I mean, you take East Africa alone, of millions of slaves that were taken from there. I mean, look at the invasions of India and the abuse, the destruction, the slavery that was in, everywhere they go, this happens. So, I mean, how you can then say, give me evidence? All you have to do is look at history.
Give me just 1 second. I just want to say, I'm not all...
Can I give you 1 second?
Okay.
Give me the evidence.
You see, I can't give you 1 second, because he said at the start of this that this was supposed to be a conversation. He almost had a go at Afif for just getting straight to the point. He wanted to do this fake pleasantry. And yet when Afif is trying to make it a conversation, rather than just having this machine gun questions at him, he wants to bring up something. No, I can't give you a minute to talk. You must answer my question now. Such a hypocrite.
I'll give you the evidence.
I know you're not all knowledgeable, Afif. Who doesn't know this? I know very well.
He knows a shit sight more than you, my friend.
Well, we just tested you in the Quran. We know you're not all knowledgeable.
Yes. So in Banu Qurayza, okay, yes. Banu al-Mustaliq with
Banu Qurayza. What happened with Banu Qurayza?
With Banu Qurayza, there was a treat. So Banu Qurayza were planning to betray Prophet Muhammad in the Battle of Al-Khandaq, and
they betrayed him already, not just planned. They betrayed him.
They didn't take up arms. They didn't have a chance because the Quraysh.
They They didn't have a chance because they didn't have enough time and the Prophet came back quickly.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they didn't betray him. Just because they didn't have enough time to actually kill you.
Well, this is questionable, but I'm not going to go too much into this because, again, it is a sidetrack from the main issue.
Does that mean I actually betrayed you?
Yes,
Yes. Okay. So the incident of Banu Qurayza is showing you lie because they didn't go and take a land and take the women of the people and do what you claimed they did. In fact, there was a...
Are you kidding? They had from Quresh, he's trying to say that he didn't take the. I mean, that is the whole point. I mean, anyone who knows anything about like this part of Islamic history knows that yes, whether Muslims will try and justify it by saying, "Oh yeah, they were betrayed" and stuff like that. No, they went there, they killed all males again who basically didn't have pubic hair, and then enslaved the women and the remaining children. I mean, that's part of the Islamic narrative. Except for Muslims will say this was justified. That's the only difference. So again, he's kind of gaslighting here or something. I don't know.
Treaty, people broke the treaty, and then there was a fight, and there was a siege, and it was war. So it was not what you claimed. It was a group of people who betrayed, did treason, and they tried to kill the Muslims and take over their lands. So what they were trying to do, trying to attack the Muslims from the back and take...
Yeah, I'll have to double check that. I'm not sure that's actually true, but we'll move on.
Over the land and take their women. So the fact is that Banu Qurayza was doing what you're accusing the Muslims to do. Now, give me a clear-cut examples in which Muslims went to a land, took the homes of someone, you claimed, and then took their women from that land. Go ahead.
Again, everywhere they went.
Okay, sure. There's one narration, I don't have it in front of me, but it says during the Battle of Hunain, the Messenger of Allah sent us to Autas, and we captured a group of excellent women.
So during the Battle of...
Yeah, he wants to cut him off because this is a devastating hadith where I'm pretty sure this is the one where Muhammad orders or tells his soldiers, because they had some guilt about raping these women because their husbands were still alive, and Muhammad's just like, nah, go ahead. I'm pretty sure that's the hadith he's talking about.
Hunain. So this is a battle, war. Muslims are fighting against the kuffar.
Yeah.
So it doesn't support what you're saying. It's not...
See, again, now this is the point I was making right at the start. He's basically saying like, oh, no, this is not true. You're lying about offensive jihad. We're not allowed to do it except for, in times of war. So you're not allowed to enslave people during war unless you're in war. So I mean, what kind of stupid tautological bullshit is this as an apologetic? You're basically agreeing with him.
Not that they went to a specific land and they took over this and that. So now you're claiming they took captives of war in Autas.
Yes.
But that was not your claim. Your claim was that they go into a land and take the women in the land and take the properties in the land.
Yes, sir.
Because in Islam, there's no such thing. There are prisoners.
Yes, there is. It's called jihad.
Prisoners of war, which Milk al-Yamin, which is you want to try to mention now. This exists in war. These only people...
Jihad is war in this context. Why are you acting as if these are two different things?
Taken as prisoners of war. If I went to a land and I conquered the land and took over the land, I'm not allowed to take Milk al-Yamin from the citizens who live in the land. There's no
That's
such thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. That is an absolute lie.
Give evidence from the Quran and Hadith that you can make someone who's free a Milk al-Yamin.
Okay.
Other than in war. Bring me a scholar who said that.
What do you mean other than in war? He's doing the same thing. He thinks there's a difference between he just said if you go and invade someone's land and then go and take over, you're not allowed to take their property or enslave people except during war. How is there ever going to be an invasion if it's not a war?
Go ahead.
No.
Give me evidence. Give me evidence.
When you invade another village and kill their men and take their women, doesn't that satisfy the condition of taking women as sex slaves?
No. Again, we said in war, if we're fighting another...
Yes, that's what he's talking about, you fucking idiot.
Another people, and we take captives of war, this is not going to a land. For example, when we had under...
What do you mean this is not going to a land? Invading someone's land is not going to a land. What the hell are you talking about?
Russia, when they went to different parts of the land, they went to Egypt, when they went to these different parts.
Yes, when they went to, they took slaves. They killed people. It was part of offensive jihad. Are you trying to pretend that Muslims walked into Egypt and Andalusia, didn't kill anyone, didn't enslave anyone, but somehow managed to take over the place without doing any of that?
Go and take the women they please from the population. That's ahistorical. I don't know what you're talking.
Yes, they did. Of course they did.
Again, I asked you, where is the evidence that you can take, which is explicit hadith on this, it's haram for you to make someone free as a slave, to make someone free Milk al-Yamin. You cannot do that. The only way, which is a consensus of scholars, the only way someone can become Milk al-Yamin is to be a prisoner of war.
Well, no, that's also not true. There are other ways to enslave. Again, like the children of your slaves will be your slaves. and you can buy slaves from existing slave markets. So that's also just a fucking lie. But the point is, we are talking about war situations. They didn't just walk into Al-Andalusia and it was just like, oh yeah, hey, yeah, do you want to rule us? No, you invaded. It was a war and you took your slaves.
Only path that is left open after Islam. You cannot take a free person like the people used to do, take a free person and then enslave them. But you're Christian.
Yes, you can, and it happened throughout history. You're just lying and contradicting yourself.
Afif, aren't you?
No, I'm atheist.
You're not a Christian.
No.
You were not a Christian ever in your life.
I mean, again, what has this got to do with anything?
No, I was Muslim before.
So where do you get the concept of right and wrong from?
Right and wrong. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Right, we've reached the end of this because what he wants to do, he wants to waste the last couple of minutes of this talking about where do you get your morality from, which is nothing to do with jihad. I think what he's doing is, whenever you like read an article or you watch a video, the things that you tend to remember are the bits at the start and the bits at the end. So I think this whole middle section where he's basically trying to say Afif's wrong about what he's saying, despite the fact that you've agreed at every step Muslims are allowed to do all these things. You've even described Muhammad's own process of waging jihad. You want to sort of bookend it with two completely irrelevant things. Number one, you want to claim he's not really an ex-Muslim, and then number two, at the end, you want to say he's got no objective morality. So even though you have essentially admitted in this video that he's right, the Muslims are commanded to engage in aggressive war against people who've done nothing to them, and you know in your heart that makes you look bad. You know that makes you look bad from a moral point of view. So now you're going to do this whole, oh, well, you don't have any objective morality anyway, so, you know, I'll try and undermine you in that sense. So we're going to leave it there because it's just a couple of minutes and it's not particularly interesting. But yeah, in summary, this is absolutely terrible. I think Muslim Lantern is essentially, again, he's just one of these hardcore Salafi types that agrees with all the worst aspects, killing apostates, waging aggressive war. And when Afif wants to come on and highlight that point and say, look, Muslims shouldn't be going around claiming that this is a peaceful religion if you believe that these commandments are something you can follow. When Afif comes on to point that out, Muslim Lantern has to try and pretend that what Afif is not saying, that what Afif is saying is not actually true, even though he's agreed with Afif at every step of the way. Essentially, he just does it in this stupid way, like, oh no, you can't invade someone unless you're going to war. I mean, invasion is a war. Anyways, thanks to everyone who voted in the poll to make this the first of the 3 video reviews I'm going to do. I will do the other 2, which I was listed in the community post, and I'll get them both done at some point next week. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.